Welcome to episode 20 of the Rebel Army podcast, and this week we're joined by a special guest, Andrew Ryan, who's going to talk to us about the comedy night coming up at the end of October. Welcome back to another episode of the Rebel Army podcast. Joined as always by Aaron. How are you?
Not too bad, Stephen. All busied out now after another busy weekend of doing nothing at Cork City with no matches.
You getting withdrawal symptoms?
I know, it's boring, isn't it? You know, you miss your Friday nights and you miss your Saturdays, but back now this weekend, so
Yeah.
we'll be all right.
Yeah, we'll be back again. Well, at least we have the Euros and the Copa America as well.
And we did have academy matches over the weekend as well, so we'll touch on them later on, but football was kind of back at the weekend.
Kind of back. And we were in the social this week, actually.
We were kind of popping up here, there and everywhere, weren't we?
Yeah, being tagged by the Opera House and all.
Yeah. People missed that. We mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, but it's fully
announced
out there and
now.
announced now. Thursday, the 4th of September.
Yeah.
Live special, 40th anniversary special of the podcast at the Opera House.
Tickets are on sale and all.
They are. It's part of the Cork Podcast Festival, so we've got an interesting show lined up. We've got a lot of...
Yeah, just in case anyone's listening, because they put obviously your two pictures on, so there might be people looking at that. Are the two boys just going to talk for the night by themselves? No, it's not going to be like that. We're going to be the facilitators. There's going to be a lineup of guests, so it is 40 years of the club.
A lot of the guests that we're looking at having, we won't even be needed to talk half the time.
No, I'm not sure where we'll fit everyone in anyway, but to be honest, it'll be massive.
It's going to be class.
4 decades of Cork City Football Club, ups and downs, highs and lows, trophy wins, relegations.
Characters is the main thing.
Yeah.
But that's going to be a very, very fun evening.
It's going
for
to be
everyone.
Great. And it's going to be, if you like nostalgia, I'd say you're going to love it, because no matter whether you've been supporting the club for the last 40 years, the last 5 years, I think you're going to enjoy it. You know, and
that's going to be class. I can't wait for it.
Yeah, and the tickets are reasonable. Like, I mean, €25 to go to the Opera House for anything is actually that's about as low as it gets.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be honest with you, you won't get many events in the Opera House less than that.
Yeah, I know it's really well priced for what it's going to be, what we hope it's going to be anyway from what we're planning. So as we said, Thursday the 4th of September,
and we'll drip feed some of the people in the next couple of weeks. So keep listening to us here, and we'll have more information.
Get your guesses in first of all.
Yeah. Or maybe there's someone that you'd love. Send us a message. Maybe we probably have thought of them already, but send us in. Who would you like to see? Talk about their time at the club, or their involvement in the club, or why they support the club, or whatever it is.
Or why they left the club.
Or why or why they're not coming to the club anymore, or whatever it is, I don't know. No, it's going to be a great night. And we're part of an unbelievable bill of people as well.
Oh, there's unbelievable shows, yeah.
You know,
you nearly feel a bit of imposter syndrome looking at some of the other acts in there.
I mean, Blind Boy is there the following week. You have Left on Red with Julie Hines there and Brenda Dennehy.
Keelan Moncrief is there. Chris Kent is there. Emma Doran and Deirdre O'Kane have their own one as well, the night after us, actually, I think. Yeah. So it's brilliant. And Joe and Ed and the lads there in the Cork Podcast Festival, they're really putting on, a fantastic 2 weeks of a lineup, actually. And it's not just in the Opera House. I think it goes across a couple of venues. There's a few venues, we spoke about that.
A few small venues as well. So
it's going to be brilliant.
Yeah, I
can't wait for it.
It's fantastic. I think it's the third one of this, I think. So we're delighted to be part of it. And, it's the podcast live, but it's going to be very different even to the episodes that we have now, because there's going to be a lot more people involved.
We'll be different to this, but it'll still be very enjoyable.
Yeah, very enjoyable. And but speaking of live events, obviously we've had no matches and stuff, so we had to kind of look at what else we could talk about this week. And we have a massive fundraising gig coming up at the end of October with the very first live comedy event. Yeah,
it's going to be the first of its kind for us, really. We mentioned it a few weeks ago. Tickets went on sale for that. Was it last week or the week before? And we've kind of did a bit of a launch on social media about it over the last couple of days. But as you said, perfect time to talk more about it. Yeah. So we've lined up a good guest, a fun guest for today.
Well, he's going to be the host of it. He's the man with the ideas, the man with the connections. So I think it's time we brought in a Cork comedian, now living in the north, but has spent a lot of time in the UK, Andrew Ryan. Will we bring him in? Welcome to the podcast, Andrew.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, Cork man, comedian. Tell me, how did that all start? Take me back.
Disaster in school.
Yeah? Where'd you go to school?
Christians, and I get a bit of slagging for that, sometimes. But I was 11, 12. I didn't pick it, like. I was sent there, Yeah. No, I grew up in Douglas. I was play football, played a bit in the street leagues and stuff. And then I moved to Carrigaline, which was, in my opinion, it was sold to me at the age of 12 that it was like the Dubai of Cork. That it was going to be this new up and coming place.
Probably felt like the countryside back then.
Yeah, and then I moved to Carrigaline, and then went to school in Carrigaline, at primary school, and finished up there. And then I went to Christians in Cork. Yeah, but I used to always go down to Turner's Cross, watch Cork City and all that. And then when I was 22, 23, I left Cork, and I haven't come back yet. So I've lived out of Cork actually more than I've actually lived in Cork.
Have you?
I have, yeah. So yeah, but I'm living up in Belfast now, like, so.
But like when you were in secondary school, so like, I mean, was the plan to be? What was the plan? Like, it was hardly to be a comedian.
Disaster. No plan.
No plan at all.
No, got about 180 in the leaving, which was good for me. Didn't repeat. Got a job working up in the bar in Maryborough House Hotel, doing the bar, doing all the wedding functions, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, crack.
And then had a couple of years working in some jobs around Cork, HSC and stuff like that. And then I just decided I'd always wanted to be a comedian anyway, but like, how do you become a comedian? Like, there's no rule book.
But like, were you the joker in school? So
not really. Sometimes and sometimes not. I'd be more of an observer, like, more of a reactor.
So like you said there, like you went to, let's say, Cork City, you were in the Shed.
Yeah.
Like the Shed to me back in the 90s, which was probably around the same time, there was a lot of comedians in the Shed, like.
Yeah. It was very funny. It was a very funny place to go.
Really people throwing comments wit.
Yeah,
fast.
Really good, yeah.
Something would happen.
Yeah, there was some great nights there. I remember going, like, I'm talking about the era now, like Patsy Frayne and John Caulfield playing and all that, and Damien Delaney left back.
Yeah.
Like there was some great football players, some great European qualifier nights there as well. But you get a bit older then, like, and, you find women and drink and going out and having the crack and all that. Get distracted then. I used to play golf as well and stuff, and I kind of gave all that up, and I was a bit disillusioned in Cork, so I decided to go over to England. And then I realised, that was the place to go if you wanted to be a comedian. So I said I'd try it.
Was that the first time you tried it in England, or did you try here?
Tried it in England, yeah.
Never tried it here?
Never tried it here, no.
Not even a stand-up night or anything like that?
No,
kind of.
Never went here, started in England, because I thought, like, if I go there, no one would know me.
Yeah.
And, like, you can fail easier then when no one knows you, like, because people be mortified for you then, like, that kind of people coming to see you for a bit of a nose, like, you'd be mortified,
And did you start with a small crowd? Like
first gig I did it's called like a gong show, where the audience boo you off if you're crap, and you have a maximum of 5 minutes, and I lasted about 2 minutes 22, 23 seconds, and I got booed off. It was horrendous in front of about 100 people, and I loved it though. I did love it.
So, like, from that, did you say, okay, I need to do a better job the next time and last the 5 minutes kind of thing?
Yeah, the next time I think I did about 3.5 minutes. So in my head, I was like, I'm getting better. It's like driving a car. You go for your driving lesson. You're not going to, the first time you do it, you're terrified. Second time you do it, you learn a bit more. Third time you do it, you're a bit more. Fourth time, you might be out on the road. You gradually, constantly, always try and get better, You always try to make small gains.
And it wasn't the case, Dave laughed me off here, I'm gone. I'm not coming back here anymore. I think I'm useless.
No, I think the key thing was the fact that I did it.
Yeah.
To me, there was the first step. The first step was to actually sign up. Then it was actually to turn up. Then it was to walk onto the stage. Then it was to talk. To me, the outcome was kind of irrelevant. It was the fact that I put myself in the position to do it was the key thing. And then I got a little bit addicted to it then. The trying and the failing and small gains then all the time. And then eventually, after about 2.5 years of doing open mics and new material nights and newcomer shows, I was a full-time stand-up comedian.
What part of England was that?
I started in Manchester, and then I was a Man United fan as well, so I had a season ticket at Old Trafford. So I was working in the day in a bank doing like human resources, and I would go to United then when there was a lot more. I'm talking 2006 to 2010.
Focusing here.
I'm talking Ronaldo's last couple of seasons. I'm talking people like Alan Smith. I'm talking Wes Brown, Darren Fletcher. Henrik Larsson being on loan at United. Louis Saha, probably one of the most underrated strikers in the Premier League. A little bit injury prone at times, but he was unbelievable for Man United. you know, it's just stuff like that. It was great times, actually. It was really great times. Before social media, proper social media, I think it was just on the cusp of coming in, like things like Facebook and stuff.
Bebo probably. And
Yeah,
stuff,
and like the flip phones, you know, but you'd have the camera in it, but it wouldn't be great. Like, so it was still really good. And I sat in the K stand behind the goal near the away fans, and I had my season ticket there for years. And then I was working full time, and 1 or 2 nights a week I'd go out and I'd try this comedy thing. And then after a few years of that, I went full time at the comedy, and I couldn't afford a season ticket then because I was quite poor. Like, so.
But your angle on the comedy at the start, then were you kind of going off the whole Irish thing?
No, very rarely. No, just general observational, anecdotal
Yeah.
stuff. I used to just you didn't really know how to write either. Like, you know, there's no, like, back then there was no YouTube. Here's how you become a comedian. Here's how you write a joke. It's all very personal. You have to, like, find your own voice and your own style, and you've got to work at it and do the craft, and it takes years. And, you know, I suppose it's a lot like sport, where young people, you know, people get involved in sport at the age of 9 or 10, whatever sport they play, and a lot of kids will fall off. You know, they'll fall off because it's raining outside, they don't want to go out, and they want to stay in and play on the computer and stuff. When I started doing comedy, I was in a kind of a class. You kind of go up with people. You get to know people very early on from a scene. You know, I'm sure, like, say, for example, in Cork now, if there's like a lot of like guys or girls that go around from bars and they play music, they play cover songs, they'll all know each other from like the little sort of open mic music circuit. We kind of I would have started with about 12 or 15 guys and girls doing comedy in England, in the Manchester, and we would have done a lot of the new act competitions and, you know, the open mic nights. You get to meet people, and then over the course of like 2 or 3 years, then some of them, they don't stick at it and they fall off. So I started with Joe Lycett, you know, Joe Lycett. Joe Lycett now we lived together and stuff and been good friends, and he's obviously a big superstar now. I supported him on tour and stuff. But a lot of the guys we were with, they would have fallen off. But I just kept on stuck at it because I wanted to do it, you know. And it's the best thing I've ever done, really. But and being from Cork, and then over there, I got to know a lot of the Cork comedians. So Chris Kent now will be one of my closest friends, you know. And you get to know all the Irish people and all the Irish comedians. And a lot of the Irish comedians, you know, the people like Dara O'Brien's and Dylan Moran and Ardla Hanlon and Tommy Tiernan, they would have all spent a lot of time in England, you know. That's the kind of place to go, really.
And Irish comedians seem to be loved in the UK, don't they?
We're loved. Man, it's meant. It's do you know what it is? It's like a gold card, you know?
Yeah,
they love you.
Like, they all did very well on TV, hosting shows, guests on show. Like, it was like they couldn't get enough. I mean, even Graham Norton started as a stand-up as well.
From Bandon, yeah. And things like Ed Byrne and all that kind of stuff, you know. So it's great. You know, you got to give it to the British. Like, they do have a great comedy scene, you know. And I think nowadays with the things like the Instagram and the Reels and the TikTok and all that, it's really starting to boom here as well. You know, there's lots of people here who aren't on mainstream TV that are doing really, really well for themselves, you know. You know, you just look at Chris Kent, like, you know, he's absolutely smashing it. Like Emma Doran, you know, there's so many people, Ger Staunton, Shane Todd, so many people that are doing great work, but it's their own work, and you put it out there and people look at it and they go, well, if you like it, you like it, and, you know, come along, you know. But it's wonderful. I wouldn't change it. Like, if I could be a professional soccer player, yeah, that's fine. But like, it's the best thing I've ever done. You know, I love it.
What was it like then, going from the transition of kind of being in that circuit of a lot of, you know, open mic nights to having your head, you know, your name on the bill, people come and buy a ticket to see you? Like, what was that? Was it nervous, kind of?
It is, yeah, because you kind of start off doing the circuit in England. You know, you could be all over the UK. And you could be doing 4 or 5 shows a night. And the first kind of couple of years when I went at it really hard, you know, I got myself into like whatever, £6,000 or £7,000 worth of debt. Because I'm investing in myself. If it goes well, hopefully I could pay that back. Mm-hmm. You get into clubs, you get into weekend clubs, you could get into comedy clubs in London, Comedy Store, you know, clubs in Glasgow called The Stand. I'm sure if there's a lot of Cork City fans that have gone over to watch Celtic or any other teams in England, they might pop into a comedy club while they're in that city for the weekend.
Much more of a culture over in England than there's here. Like,
you know, you might go in, you might see the odd Irish person on the bill. So you're in a kind of a bubble and a scene and a circuit, and you're just keep working. And then you kind of work your way up the bill from, you know, being on first to being on second to being the headliner and stuff. But over in the UK, like you do get to see some of the best American comedians, the best Australian, the best Canadian comics. So you have to kind of like raise your game. You know what I mean? I suppose if like a soccer player goes over to play for Liverpool, you're playing alongside some of the best Croatian players, the best German players. So, you come out of your comfort zone. So then you kind of have to learn better and keep improving, And the transition from starting to being on bills and doing big theatres and stuff like that, it is, at the start, it's very daunting, but it's where you kind of want to go to. And you get a little bit of imposter syndrome as well sometimes, because you're like, I'm doing the Opera House in Belfast now. It's 1,000 seats and I've nearly sold it out for January.
Oh.
And I'm already nervous about it because I'm like, oh my.
Have you done big gigs like that in the UK?
Oh yeah, I think the biggest I've done is about 4,000 people.
Yeah.
I've done the Playhouse in Edinburgh a couple of times, the Apollo in London. Festivals, like big tents and festivals and stuff like that. Yeah, it's great. Like I'm doing the SSE Arena in Belfast in November. That's 8,000. So that'll be my biggest. That's sold out already. Now, I'm opening for somebody else. And that person is Shane Todd, who's doing the bill for Cork City Academy teams here at the Everyman on the 31st of October. So he's coming down to do the fundraiser for Cork City Academy team. So I got him to come down to Cork,
But like, it must be hard to kind of engage with an audience that big. Is it for comedy?
I'll let you know when I do it in November. I've 3,000-4,000 is the highest since 4,000. So yeah, but like I don't overly engage with the crowd. Like, I mean, I'm hosting the show at the Everyman, so I'll probably talk to the crowd a bit. But I'm introducing the act, so I'll have a bit of crack and do my own jokes, and I'll be kind of like managing the night. All the comics on the night will be doing their own kind of stuff, but it's great crack. Like, you kind of get to dip in and dip out of the crowd. Like, it's brilliant.
Do you know when you get up on stage now, are you kind of looking for a couple of people at the start and you kind of feel like you're talking to them throughout the whole show? Is that how it works?
If I'm doing my own show, not really,
No?
If I'm hosting a show and there's a couple of comics on, well then, you'll talk to the crowd a little bit. You might deal with somebody or something that happens in the crowd, If somebody comes in late or they knock a pint over or their phone goes off. People always ask you about heckling. Like, heckling doesn't happen that often, so people say, oh, what's it like when you get heckled? I'm like, well, it doesn't happen too often. You just deal with it.
The crowd will probably sort them out anyway, yeah?
Nah, sometimes they do and sometimes they don't, I remember doing a gig in the Everyman there. I was doing a show in the Everyman. I mentioned Mahon Point as being the biggest crash in Ireland, right? It's basically where grandparents go with their grandkids because their actual kids, when they have kids, they shove the kids over to the grandparents and they basically just go to spend their days in Mahon Point, like, right? And then there was some people in from Mahon and sure they were just, oh, he's mentioned Mahon, wee. And I'm like going, no, this isn't a two-way conversation. I'm just making an observation about something I saw in Mahon Point, so. But the audiences are grand. I think Cork audiences are great crack, They're good. Most people are grand, you know what I mean?
But you change your act then to the different areas or no? Keep it the same way?
Exactly the same, yeah. Don't change a word of it. But I'm quite universal,
Yeah.
So I'm not like I do you know what I did? I did a joke there. I used to do this joke and I had to change the joke, right? Because they didn't get it. So there was a whole joke about, so I have to give you the context here, okay, to understand it. So the war in Ukraine's kicking off. It's very, very sad, obviously. The French media are going crazy. The Irish media are going crazy. But the main headline on the day the war kicked off in the Ukraine was the Kerry Gaelic football team couldn't find a hotel in Dublin. And that would go down really well. Because remember, the Kerry football team couldn't get a hotel in Dublin. Like, so, like, where's our priority? Like, so that joke never worked in England because they don't get GA.
They don't get it, yeah.
So I had to change that then to the main headline in Ireland was the price of Guinness is now €7. So you see then it was like, oh, Putin could kill us. And I'm like, yeah, but I'll die of thirst before he finds me. Like, so you have to change some things
to fit the audience.
So therefore I wouldn't really write stuff that I knew would only work in Cork.
Yeah, because it wouldn't translate.
You're putting yourself under so much pressure to have different shows in different places, So you kind of mess with it. So I try and be quite universal. So I'm working on a big routine now at the moment about what would happen if we got invaded. How Ireland would react to being invaded. So we don't have an army, we have a defence force, like, so we just defend,
Yeah.
So we're like, we'd be like, go away. We'd do 5 at the back in a low block, like all this kind of stuff, like.
Yeah.
So I'm working on this whole routine about what are we like if we got invaded, because obviously the news has been terrible the last few years. So I'm putting that current stuff that's in the news into like our context. That's how you kind of work it, you know.
But the UK audience would understand that.
They get it, yeah. But they would, yeah. But I would write for a UK and Irish and European audience. I do a lot of gigs in Europe. They're very, very, very popular in English-speaking comedies. Very popular in Europe, you know. Yeah, they all watch Netflix. You know, they've all got brilliant English over in Europe. I'm sure if you've been over, like you go to Germany or Hungary or they're I mean, like, you know, they speak 3-4 languages and we kind of feel embarrassed. Like, I'm like, I failed Irish and leaving. Like,
we're lucky to be able to speak English.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, well, we speak our own version of English. Like, you know.
And do you ever find that in the middle of an act that you're saying something and the crowd are looking at you? You've said something that totally means nothing.
I was over in the Netherlands. I was over doing a show in Amsterdam, and I would say there was about 130 people in the audience, and I would say 30 of them were Irish, and I could tell within 2 minutes who the Irish were. Could tell within 2 because I said 2 or 3 phrases. Stop the lights. I said, stop the lights. Come here now, will you? And I said, stop the lights. Come here now, will you? I'm fierce worried. I said something, but I was just phrasing. You're building up something, and you can hear them giggling. They're laughing at the what they know, those phrases that they know, you know.
I'd imagine that's like a comfort as well, though, to a lot of them. They're like, oh, that's one of our own up on the stage, like.
But there's also the opposite. Then it was like, who does your man think he is now, thinking he's funny, like. Yeah, you know, that kind of thing. Like you get loads of people like that, yeah. But they're great crack. They're my favorite. They're the ones I like performing to.
Try to break them.
Yeah, I actually talked to Chris Kent about this, actually, because, a few people know to be coming for a bit of a gawk, like.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, they kind of be, you know, but it's grand. It's all good fun, really.
Then I saw you, the first time I think I came across you, were on Instagram or Reels or something like that, TikTok. You were going, some videos from the Comedy Store, I think, is it?
Yeah, in London, so
are they filming that for you, or do you get someone belong to yourself?
No, there's full camera crew set up in there.
And then they give you the clips,
They give you the clip and you then decide, you have a look back and go, oh, that was funny, I'll cut that up and put that up, you know.
There was one where there was a girl in the crowd or something like that, and she was from Cork.
Yeah.
And you knew exactly who she was.
Yeah, you knew her. Deirdre Clune, the
Deirdre
MVP.
Clune,
Yeah, that was me, yeah.
And that just took off. Like
that was a late show, you know. That was a late show. And people in the audience were quite drunk. And they were at the front, and I was chatting to her fella, actually, her boyfriend. And I just heard her accent, and I just went in and talked to her, and then it just spiraled. Like, I didn't think much of it at the time, to be honest, because that's quite a normal conversation you would have.
Yeah.
If you're outside of Ireland, like I remember walking. I was in the Great Wall of China once, and I was in a group walking the Great Wall of China. I just looked at this fella and went, "He's Irish." I could just tell from the head in him, like. And I went over, and he actually worked with my brother.
Yeah,
you know, we all have every Irish person has a story like that.
Always, and always happens.
Always
isn't it?
happens.
Like,
you can spot them a mile off, the clothes and everything. I could spot an Irish person's clothes a mile off. Jeans, t-shirt, trainers.
But you must have seen
Jack and Jones
when you were inside Manchester. Then, like living in Manchester, sure, there's Irish fellas all over.
Sure, mental, yeah. First generation, second generation, they're everywhere. We're everywhere, man.
Yeah,
it's good crack. Like, you know, I do think being Irish is the best nationality going. Like,
why is that?
It's brilliant because everyone likes us. Yeah. Even the people we don't like, they love us.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
Do you know what I mean?
Like, probably with the English game, this week they were playing against Denmark or whatever. Most Irish people are like, come on, Denmark.
Yeah.
Whereas if we were playing against Denmark, they'd probably be supporting us.
Well, sometimes, yeah, they would, yeah. But I'll give you an example. Like, I live up the north, right?
Yeah.
But I live in a predominantly a Protestant area. My partner, my fiancée, Julie, she comes from a Unionist Protestant background. And where I live now, they put up like British flags, and it's very heavily British, right? I live in North Down. And when I moved in, my neighbour on my left, who's a really good friend of mine, he was a bit like, oh, interesting that there's somebody from Cork, like in this area. And I can tell you now, after spending 16, 17 years living in England, I feel safer there than I've ever felt living over in England. It is what I thought it was going to be up there, because of everything you hear on the news and all that kind of stuff. Couldn't live in a more friendlier place.
That's because I suppose when we grew up, the television was dominated by another bombing, another person shot, or we just thought, stay away from it.
But when you actually go into the community and you actually meet the people, they're no different than you and me, because they just want to get on with their life. There's a tiny fraction of people on all sides that cause the problems. That's all it is. And there's people in here that cause problems, you know. There's
Oh,
people everywhere, like, so.
Yeah.
I like living up there, you know. I did try to move back to Cork actually a few years ago, but couldn't get a mortgage because I earned sterling, and they wouldn't give you a cross currency mortgage for Cork because of Brexit.
Because of Brexit, you couldn't get a mortgage.
You
in
couldn't,
Cork.
yeah. So imagine this: like I mostly work in the UK.
Yeah.
So you get a cheap flight because we need to promote cheap flight and tourism.
Yeah.
You get a cheap flight from Cork to Stansted or whatever as you do. Go over there, do two or three nights, get your wages, fly home, spend your wages then Monday to Thursday in Cork, fly over again Friday, get your wages. So I'm earning money in England. I'm spending it in the Irish economy. I'm paying my tax in Ireland, right? I'm taking money off the English and I'm putting it in Ireland. I should be given two houses just for that. And then I go to the bank and I go, this is what I earn, sterling. But you can see I convert it to euro and I live in Ireland predominantly and I still work in Ireland. Can I have a house? I'm Irish. Can I get a mortgage approved? And then tell me what I can borrow and I'll go and look for something within that price range. And they went, no, you can't do that. So the only place on the island of Ireland that I could buy a house under sterling was in the north. So hence why I'm in the north.
Combined with herself being from up there.
And then I met her up there then.
Oh, did you buy the house before you met her?
Met her, bought the house before I met her, yeah. I was dating someone else that broke up.
So that was a bizarre move, like, to go up to the...
Dating apps, by. You can listen, I go to Brazil for love if I have to. I just, she got a bit of the old Cork cuddles and she couldn't, you know, you hold her tight and just whisper, Michael Collins.
Right.
He was Michael Collins. The Battle of Bain Blah.
And how long are you up there now?
4 years. Yeah. Nearly 2 World Cups.
Fucking
It's great. Have you been up?
It's been a while. So I've been up in Belfast 2 or 3 times. I've been in Derry a few times as well. Like,
yeah. Up to the Brandywell, is it?
Yeah. I've been up just around the place. Might have been depending what side of the river I was on.
Yeah.
When they heard the Cork accent, there was a free drink and all at the bar.
They love it,
so I went into the right place.
Oh, listen, I've great time for them. Great time for the people up the north, you know. I really do, because I'm 4 years up there now, and you learn very quickly that, you know, they're great people. Like, and I think sometimes, not everybody, but there is some people that I've met from Cork, like, that have said to me, like, what are you doing up there? Like, you know, what are you going up there? They're all mad up there. Like, and I'm like, they're actually, like, they're very nice. They've been through a lot. And there's a few things that annoy you about living up there. Aesthetically, it needs a facelift. Like, some places do needs to be tidied up a little bit, you know, but, you know, they have constant problems with funding and government and all that malarkey that is, you know, well above the stuff I know about, you know. So I hope one day it all gets a little bit better for everybody, you know.
I think down here we have the fear that if we ever became the one country, who is the second city then?
Oh, Jesus, don't start that. Like, I don't know. Don't start that.
Is Cork or Belfast bigger? Like, that's the thing, like.
Oh. Well, there's 1.9 million in the north and there's 5 million here, isn't there? So 7 million, 6.9 million combined. Just have a fight. Just fight over it. I think the best thing to do is just having a fight. Give it to fucking Limerick. Give them some hope. Give Limerick some hope. They're in a fucking football team. Can I swear on this?
You can, yeah.
Give them hope.
Did you ever go to a game up the north?
Yeah, I played in a Man United Legends game at football. I've the only games I've been to up there now, I'll be honest with you, I go to a bit of gas sometimes as well.
Yeah.
I go and, you know, try to keep all sports happy, like.
You don't go to, like, Cliftonville or Linfield or Glentower?
No, but I played on Cliftonville pitch against the Man United 11. So I played against Wes Brown, Yap Stam and Paul Parker, Clayton Blackmore, Keith Gillespie, Carl Proborski, Frank Stapleton. Played against them.
Big names, yeah.
Yeah.
What position did you play?
Me, right back, but they had me on the left wing because we'd so many players that were injured from the beer the night before. And I shoved Yap Stam. I just shoved him, like. I said, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Put me in your new book. What are you going to do? You're going to put me in your new book. So he was good crack. Wes Brown, I asked Wes Brown during the game how his golf swing was. How's your golf swing, Wes? And I think he nearly told me to fuck off. Like, Paul Parker, he was great. He went off injured very early. Frank Stapleton was good crack. Brian McClare looks like a Scottish Viking. The big hair, the big beard, them. He was really cool.
He's coming to Cork, actually.
Yeah, he was great, dead nice, you know. So very lucky to have been invited to have played in that. It's good.
And was it like kind of mix of?
Yeah, so basically United
and stuff like?
you get 15 minutes. So it was basically the comedians, we got 15 minutes. Then there was a charity got 15 minutes. So it was basically every 15 minutes the Man United legends would play against a different team of all varying standards. I mean, there was one of my mates, William, he's got cystic fibrosis. He played, cerebral palsy, and he lasted about 3 minutes. But he was delighted to have got on and actually ran around, you know, and touched the ball and stuff. So it was brilliant. Like, it was a great day. Thousands of people turn up to watch it. Like, I was getting abuse and everything. Like, F off back to Cork and everything from people in the fans.
Excellent.
I was, you know, and I'd wind them all up like that's a real county.
Had you ever played when you were in England? Like,
no. I never played.
Never played like kind of.
I played here. I played for Carrigaline. I used to play for Carrigaline up to under 16s, and then I played a little bit of Garden. Played GA in England, just for a year. It was mostly more of a social thing. And
it's
then
a fierce Irish community thing over there.
Yeah, it's massive. Like, yeah. Do you know what? Like, I heard a great story there. Like, if you're Irish, right? I heard this great story. So it was a guy from the north. He was going over to New York and he couldn't get a job and he didn't really know anybody, but he never played Gaelic, and he rang somebody in the north and he said, look, what do you know anyone that could help me out in New York? And he said, look, go down to the local GA club and tell them you used to play for St. Brenda's and you were a right corner forward. Just walk in. I'm Irish. I used to play for St. Brenda's, right corner forward. They don't check anything. And I'm guaranteed they'll welcome you in with open arms. And he went in and got a job off somebody in there who was like a tradie and ended up getting a place to live for 6 weeks. And, you know, what I love about, I suppose, being Irish is that community feel, you know. When you go abroad, people do kind of look after you. In 2016, I went over to the Euros, you know, Ireland-Sweden game. And we were on the subway in France. And I was there with a mate of mine from Dublin. And this guy came up to us. He was from Donegal, and he just said, guys, just be careful there now. There's pickpocketers around. Be very careful. And he was going around telling all the Irish fans, guys, everyone be careful. There's pickpocketers around. And you're just kind of going like, that kind of stuff made you feel really good, you know?
And it is something when we go abroad, like we always kind of help out each other. If we see a fella, we'd say, oh, did you check out this place?
Yeah, because I think we know, like, you know, I think there's a great identity with being Irish, and it's a great community, you know. And I like, you know, even like I was in Spain a couple of weeks ago, like I walked into this pub and I just turned over and I went either I'd say Middleton or Waterford, their east side, you know. You know, and my girlfriend was like, how do you know that? And I go, you can just smell them. You can just smell them. You can just smell them, you know.
And like, have you played gigs now in the likes of Australia or the US or anything like that?
Yeah, I've done New York. I was invited to Australia for a month, but I couldn't go because of the pandemic. All over Europe, mostly UK. But I do radio as well. I do breakfast radio in the north. I have a breakfast show. I do 6 to 10 every morning up in the north, Q Radio.
How'd you get into that?
So they saw me on the Two Johnnies podcast and they approached me. But they'd seen me a few times doing comedy and stuff. And they just asked me what I'd be interested in doing radio. So I do radio Monday to Thursday. So I actually drove down to Cork after the radio yesterday. So I don't do Fridays. So I'm down in Cork for the weekend. So I get to come down to Cork some Thursdays and stay till Sunday night. And then I'll go back up. I was at the weekend off this weekend. I'm actually going to see my nephew play. He's in the Cork City Academy under 14s. Louis, he's the goalie. So I'm going to see him play Carlow on Sunday.
Brilliant. So
I'm very excited. Like, he's a great kid. Like, so I love watching him when he plays for City.
Is that the connection with the club then?
Yeah. So I used to do a lot of fundraising. So basically, my brother lives out in Cove, my brother Ian, and he would have been very heavily involved in Cove Ramblers, you know, he's on a committee and stuff. And I suppose, you know, I would, to be honest with you, like I like both teams. You know, I'm not one of these diehard. Yeah. Like I'll always check out Cork City results. Always check. I just like to see both teams do all right. You know what I mean? I think it's good for the city, like good for the county, like. So he was involved on the committee in Cork City, and I used to go to the games, you know, when I was home. He said, come on over to Ramblers. I'd go over, like, we'd have a bit of crack, like, and then, which one, like, Shane Casey, who's Billy Murphy and Young and Finish, is actually my best friend, you know, so I was down for his wedding, I was groomsman at his wedding, and we had a bit of time off, and we went over to watch them play Dundalk, and we were giving Stephen Kenny loads of shit, like, it's great crack, like, you're getting sacked in the morning, didn't realise he was getting a fucking Irish job in the morning, but anyway, that's another story, right, you know.
He got sacked from that anyway.
He got sacked from that. Where's he now? He signed for Bowes, St. Pat's, Jesus. And so we used to go to Cove, and then my brother said to me, like, you wouldn't do a fundraising gig for us, would you? To raise some money for the club. So I was like, yeah, Stephen Henderson was the manager and got to know Stephen a bit. So we put on a gig at the club and it was really successful. And he said, would you do this every year for us? So every year over Christmas, then when I was home for Christmas, we would do a gig. And we'd always do it around the 27th or the 28th, and we'd raise money, and the money would go for kit or whatever way they spent it, you know. And I would get, you know, comedians down and we'd do it. And they got to the League Cup final against Derry up in...
That's right. Playing Wexford or something that time. Was that, were they playing away? They were playing the neutral ground anyway, I think.
No, they played up in Derry.
Did they play in
the final.
Derry that time?
They played in Brandywell. So what happened was the League of Ireland final was drawn, and whoever comes out first gets to home. But so they had to go up to Derry Cove. So we actually did a show at the Commodore Hotel in Cove to raise money for that trip for the players.
Yeah.
And we raised a good few €1,000, and it actually, apparently we were told then that it paid the hotel for the players. So I thought that was a nice thing to do, you know, to try and give the players good experience. So then my brother's son, Louis, was developing as a footballer, and he ended up getting picked up by the Cork City Academy. And he came in to Cork City and he was signed. So straight away, then I was like, right, keep an eye on this kind of thing, and started to go and see him play. Used to come down here and watch him train. Like I used to come down and just watch him train. Like I used to stand aside and just watch him. Only 12 years old, like training, 13. And then my brother sent me a podcast of Dermot on a podcast. He was like, the owner of Cork City, Dermot, he was on this podcast called the Mental Brew Podcast. So I do a lot of driving, you know. I was actually listening to it on my way down to Dublin to do a show. I thought it was really interesting about talking about the academy and all that kind of stuff. And I'm a big believer in, like, you know, if you can get the grassroots right and get the academies right, you know, these kids will have great opportunity. Like my nephew's already been over to play at Aston Villa. He's already played against Birmingham. When I was, when I was playing at 13, 14, I wasn't in an academy. I was just playing for a local club. But, you know, to show these kids on the girls and boys teams that, you know, there's opportunity there. There's a chance there. You're part of something unique, part of an academy that people are out there raising money for you kids to have opportunity and be part of a good team. Get them out of the house, get them off the phones. And you then look at, you know, what can actually happen with a young person if they stick at it and do their best. They can go off and have a career in football. And I was talking to my nephew about it, and he just said he was blown away by the whole experience, you know, like proper team meeting in the hotel and going to Aston Villa training ground. So my brother got in contact. My brother was very impressed with all the work Liam Kearney's doing in the academy and stuff like that. And he contacted Dermot and said, like, I have a brother who's a comedian. He's done some fundraising for Cove Ramblers in the past. Obviously, my nephew now is in Cork City. So I met Dermot up in Belfast. He was actually up there. We went for coffee and just said to him, look, you know, comedy is a fun night out, and it's a good way of raising money for the academy to help the kids, the boys and girls, with the squads and all that, to give them opportunities and, you know, get them trips like this, so that you never know, we could have the next big player to come out of Cork City, etc. So we agreed that we would do a comedy night for the first time at the Everyman on the 31st of October. I then said, right, who am I going to book for this? How are we going to sell this to the masses? And I think, first of all, I think it's a great thing to do. It's something different for the club.
Very different. I don't think the club have ever done something like this
before. It's also
before.
something different for Cork City as a brand in terms of, look, going out there, raising money, you know, getting the parents of the kids that are all in the academy to come down to meet other parents, socialise your kids and what team's your kid in, what team's my kid in. It's also, you know, to keep the funding up going for the academy, to give the young players the opportunity. So I rang Emma Doran, who's a good friend of mine. I'd actually been supporting her at some of her on her tour, and I said, Emma, you love Cork, don't you? And I said, well, have you got this date free? And she put it in. Chris Kent, obviously, good friend of mine. And then I got on to Shane Todd, who does arenas. He's did 48 nights opening for Kevin Hart. He's just opened for Theo Von all over the UK. He's sold out arenas after arenas. And I said, will you come to Cork and do this fundraiser for me? And he went 100%. And then the following night after the Everyman, he's doing his own show in the Opera House. So he was able to tie that in with
the... So they do small gigs then on the night, is it? Like,
yes, they'll all do about 20 minutes each. So I'll go out at the night, I'll open it, start the show, I'll do about 15 minutes. I'll bring on somebody. We don't know the order yet. John Cleary's on as well, who's phenomenal. So there'll be 2 acts in the first section. There'll be a break. Then you'll see me again, do my bit. Then there'll be 2 more acts. And we're hoping to play a video as well of the night of the academy and what all the work the academy does for the boys and girls teams, so that the people who are sitting in the crowd knows where the money's going, what these opportunities these kids are getting. And it's just something as well to bring everybody together as well, and to say, look, you know, come on, let's work at this, let's put on some events, let's do stuff that's different that Cork City's never done before. You do different things, you get different results. And, I really liked Dermot, really liked what he was trying to do, and really enjoyed his company. And I thought, you know what, I get a kick out of it as well. I'm a football fan.
Yeah.
And my nephew's playing football. He's been looked after brilliantly by Cork City. And he, I was on holiday with him in Spain there a couple of weeks ago, and I was saying to him, how's your training? How you getting on? How you getting on with the other lads in the team? And just things like him having the kit, the professionalism, going to training, the way he's getting spoken to, the stuff he has to do in the off season, the gym work, real professionalism, and why not? Why not have a laugh and do something different? So really excited about the gig,
I'm sure the stuff like this happens in England all the time.
All the time, man.
Have you ever been involved in something like it?
I've done gigs at Man United. Friends of mine do gigs at Arsenal.
Yeah.
It's not that they're like.
Is it for the likes of the foundations?
Foundations for the charity partners, all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
And it's about getting people into the club, about getting people who are, fans of the club, who support the club. When we go to football, and I used to do it myself when I used to go to Old Trafford and Cork City and Cove Ramblers, I'd be roaring and shouting like any football fan, because you want your team to win,
Of course.
But it's also get these people now, come on, instead of shouting at the people on the pitch, why don't you laugh at the people on the stage, and have a bit of a laugh. I'll come out now, don't get me wrong, I'll rip the team league season to shreds. I used to do it with the Cove Ramblers. I used to see some of the. So, there's the Cove Ramblers keeper. Look at him there. Oh, he's the captain. Yeah, the captaincy is the only thing he's fucking held all year. I used to do. I used to do all this kind of stuff. Whoever's in from the squad. If any of the senior players come in, I'll find where they are. And I'll get all their fucking stats up for the season. And I'll be like, you up here,
like a roast kind of thing.
But we won't roast them. But that kind of sound. What was that? No, this isn't my joke. No, right? This isn't my joke. So I don't want to get in trouble for this. But somebody said to me something like, so-and-so is a full-time hospital patient who's had his hospital career interrupted by spells of football. I don't know whose joke that was. That wasn't my joke, but they used to take the piss. People who are just permanently injured, you're just a full-time patient interrupted by a fucking soccer career, so. But we just want to do something different for the academies, for the girls and boys academies, and say, look, it's expensive, these things, these trips, and it's about getting the parents invested as well in it, to say, our kids are really being looked after. Is there a big community here that wants to help and develop them in sport and stuff? And even if it's people can only go so far in soccer and stuff like that they build up good skills as well, teamwork and ethic, and they get, and stuff like that, so, and also being able to learn and take on board messages and coaching and advice and stuff like that, because these people are at a very important age in their life, developing, you know what I mean? So be a bit of crack, man.
Yeah, also on Halloween, be a couple of scary things happening on the night.
I'm sure the league table, that'll be fucking scary, No, when he messes.
Well, hopefully we'll be promoted by then.
Yeah, and that's it, and then hopefully if it goes down well and stuff like that, it could become an annual thing.
I'm sure there'll be people who are just into comedy that mightn't have a clue about football.
I know people who've bought tickets just because of the lineup.
Yeah.
If you're into comedy, you'll know the comedians. If you're listening to this now, you're like, oh, why the hell would I go to that now? I don't care at all.
Yeah.
Trust me. Go.
Yeah.
Just go, and you'll come out of it and you go, oh God,
yeah,
I didn't realise.
It's good value for money. Was it €35?
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, there's no better lineup of comedy that night, not only in the country, but I can categorically say across the whole of the UK as well. I know a lot of comedians. I've worked with them for 16, 17 years, and that is probably one of the strongest lineups I've ever put together by a country mile. Every single comedian there does their own tours, does their own stuff, has massive following. And the fact that they all were available on that one particular night,
brilliant,
would all be willing to travel
to help out
from Belfast, from Dublin, from Sligo, to come down just to do 20 minutes to raise money for Cork City academy teams. I think because I sold it to them, I said, listen, you're doing something really cool. Going to be a great crowd in there on the night. We're going to have a great laugh. We'll have a drink afterwards. And they were all like, let's do it.
It kind of tells me as well that you have a fierce community amongst the kind of comedians, that you kind of look out for each other and help each other out as well.
Yeah, I remember when I was living in England, Chris Kent moved over, and he moved back obviously because of the pandemic. And if you heard his story, he went back being an electrician. He came over and I gave him my contact book, helped him out, get him gigs, and then he helped me out with stuff. You know what I mean? We're not against each other. This is the thing. Every team needs loads of players. So for every soccer team, you need a midfielder and you need a striker and you need a defender.
Yeah.
And we all have different styles and different ways of doing comedy. But if people like and watch comedians, all the ships will rise together. You can't just have one comedian. So I help Chris out. Chris helps me out. I've opened for Chris. He's opened for me. He's plugged my shows. I've plugged his shows. We all want the industry to be healthy. Just like we all want soccer to be healthy in Ireland. We all want the League of Ireland to be in a healthy place where there's enough teams and everyone's getting the right funding and it's competitive. And, you know, wouldn't it be great to have Cork City back in the Premier League fighting for the title? And the ground is full, playing great football. But we want to come up against the Shamrock Rovers who are doing really well as well. We want it to be healthy. We want to be able to walk into a football pitch excited that there's something at stake here tonight. That feeling you get. When I used to go to Old Trafford, like Champions League night, I remember one of the best nights I ever won, Roma 7-1. Barcelona semi-final, Paul Scholes, 24 minutes, 1-0. People don't realise the work that Darren Fletcher and Wes Brown did that night. But I was coming in from work at 6 o'clock, kick off at 7:45. That feeling of buzz, you know?
Yeah.
And like, if you can, and comedy is like that, you know, people will help each other out. And when you go to Turner's Cross, there's some big nights, you know, over the last sort of like 10 years, like, you know, you won the league and all that kind of stuff. You walking in, people are, that's what you want. You want football to be healthy, like, you know.
So, do you know, in the likes of Kevin Hart, you mentioned here a while ago, the likes of him or John Bishop or whoever, Tiavan or whatever, when they sell the big arenas, are you kind of jealous of them, or you think, no, that's actually good for comedy?
No, it's great for comedy because it's achievable.
Yeah. So like when they do the Tree Arena and they bring over their big tours and...
So for example, the way I would look at that now is you look at Kobe Manu or I don't know, like Saka or something like that.
Yeah.
So there's a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old boy or girl now playing out in their front garden.
Yeah.
Somewhere in Ireland today now.
Looking up to them.
Looking up and say, well, if they can do it when they're 24, why can't I do it? You know, so the way I look at it is that, like, everybody's at different stages all the time. We're all at different stages. And if I see Chris Kent now's done, he'll probably do 10 everymans, probably hold the record maybe, Chris Kent. I've done 2. But that doesn't mean I'm jealous of him because he's done 10.
Yeah.
I'm like, if he can do 10, isn't that bloody brilliant for him?
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, but I do the Opera House in Belfast, which is 1,000, and he might do that, he might not. Do you know, it's not about like, it's not a competition.
So like Jimmy Carr's down in Cork this weekend.
Right.
You're not jealous that he's in the Opera House doing 6 nights or 6 gigs?
Absolutely not. Because what will happen is people will go and watch Jimmy Carr, and there'll be some people that'll be the first time they'll ever go to a comedy show.
Yeah.
And what will happen is they go, I really enjoyed that comedy show.
Yeah.
Next thing, they'll go home and their algorithm on their phone will be stand-up comedians. Next thing you know,
how it works, yeah.
Next thing you know, they could see a clip of me, they could see a clip of someone else. Oh, do you know what? There's a comedy club in Cork City Limits. Let's go there. There's Coco's. Oh, look, there's a fundraiser night there for Cork City with 4 comedians on. Do you remember that night we went to see Jimmy Carr? That was my first ever comedy show. Should we try and go to this comedy show?
Yeah.
It's a knock-on effect all the time. You go to a Cork City football match, right? And you go on a pristine summer's night, and it's a great game of football, and the ball is, and it's 4-3 to Cork City, end to end, yellow cars, the crowd are going mad, and you take a kid there and it's his first ever game and he's 7. It's going to get addicted.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
They're going to keep coming back. Like
if a Premier League team comes over and they support that Premier League team from watching Sky Sports or whatever, I know they play Cork City or Shamrock Rovers or whoever, and now they say, oh, I didn't realise we had teams here. Because their parents might have been into football.
You go.
It's the same type of thing, I'd imagine.
It's fantastic. Like, I'll be honest with you, I went to see Picture This sing Belsonic in Belfast there last week, 2 weeks ago. I'd never been to that venue before to watch music. It was a great night. We had great crack. We had a few pints. We had chips and curry on the way home, burger and chips. I felt disgusting the following morning, right? But it felt great. 2 nights ago, I went to see Sting the night after he played Cork.
Yeah.
And Blondie were on in Belfast. This was Wednesday night. I'm not a massive fan of Blondie. Sting has some decent enough songs. I didn't go. I went to Picture This because of the music. But I went back the second time, not for the music.
For the crack.
I went back for the experience.
Yeah.
And I left halfway through Sting. Don't get me wrong, Sting is amazing. He is brilliant. I've nothing against the man. I had to be up at 5 o'clock for the radio. And I was a bit tired. I had 2 pints a minute. I thought, I'm on the verge. I'm on, you know, when you're on the slope, I'm out.
You're on in or you're going
I'm
home.
right.
Yeah.
But I went to that concert. It wasn't sold out, so there was tickets available. I went to that concert not because I wanted to go for the music. I went because I had such a good experience at another event that I went to. So the way I look at it is that if people go to Jimmy Carr tonight, they'll have such a good experience at that. They'll go to another event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
So what's the future for you now? Like, is it more media with the radio, or is it comedy? Like what, or a bit of both?
It's a bit of both, you know. I always said to myself, if I wasn't a comedian, I'd love to work in football and soccer. And when I was living in Manchester, I was trying to get a job in at Man United. I ended up going in to do a bit of work for MUTV and stuff. And it didn't really work out. I was kind of a guest on some of the shows, and I was trying to...
You doing comedy on the show, like?
No, just chatting about Man United and stuff. And I used to do a lot of BBC work for BBC Radio Manchester. So when the day Fergie retired, they asked me in as a guest panellist, I was quite proud of that, like, to be on a big panel there of former players, United fans. But I would, if I wasn't a comedian, I'd love to work in soccer. So working for the club, doing logistics, fundraising, you know, anything to do with players, like player liaison manager, you know, player comes to a club, get them settled in, get them an apartment, you know, get them Tinder, whatever they need, you know, to have a good time in the town. So for me, it's just mostly, I'm on tour in September. I've got quite a few shows in Cork, quite a few of them sold out already. The only one that's available is Sea Church in Ballycotton.
Nice place.
So the other shows in the city have fortunately sold out, which I'm delighted with, I'm very happy with. And then we're down again for the Cork City show on the 31st of October at the Everyman, which I'm very, very happy to do. And yeah, I'm on tour, and the tour starts in September and finishes in January. Then I'll have a year off comedy where I actually want to do documentaries. I'm kind of me and Shane Casey did a documentary there a couple of years ago, and we did a pilot. It didn't work out, but it was a great experience. So we learned a lot of stuff from that. So I'm gonna try and maybe move that into another project.
On what?
So we were talking at the time. We were talking about kind of grieving for men, because my mother had died in 2019 here in Cork, and we were kind of talking about that. Shane had been through a few tough things, and I've been through a few tough things in our life. So it was just stuff about how men can kind of like talk and stuff. The next documentary idea that I had was about how a Southern Irish people living in the north. There's only 44,000 registered people from the south that moved up to the north.
Is that right?
Yeah, so it's about us as well. You know, like, you know, the north, you always hear two sides, whereas actually a group of people, like people from Dublin, Cork, or Limerick, or Waterford, that live up there as well.
Yeah.
And it's about doing a documentary on the Southern Irish that live in the north of Ireland as well, you know. So, because normally you would hear stuff about people leaving the north rather than people going to the north, you know what I mean? So, ideas like that. I'd love to do some soccer documentaries, maybe travel the world and do some soccer stuff. I don't really know yet. Like, I mean, I'm concentrating on the tour. This is a big year for the tour, you know.
Do you give up the radio then while you're doing on?
No, I've scheduled the tour Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday nights.
Oh, so you'll work the Monday to Thursday.
And I schedule it that way, yeah. So I don't compromise the radio.
You're doing a full week's work, so like.
Oh, it's chaos, man. But you know what? I've no kids. Sure, why not? Like, sure, there'll be a tap on my shoulder one day. You're done.
You're done. That's the end of it.
And I'm ringing up Cork City then going, any jobs? You know what I mean? Like, Dermot, any jobs?
Do you know, the goal would be to come back to Cork at some stage?
I don't know. Yeah, me and the missus were out there looking at wedding venues this morning. We're getting married, and
things are getting serious now. Congrats.
We were doing the wedding list, you know, about the inviting the people. Jesus Christ, the stress of it, like. So she said to me, "How many have you got?" And I goes, "I've 72," and she goes, "That's too much, 60." I'm like, "Who am I going to cut here now? I have to look now at who am I going to cut." I'm like, "Who hasn't replied to me in WhatsApp in a reasonable time?" That's how you cut them, like. You know, that's how I cut them.
It's like going back to your original comedy gigs when you were getting cut after 2 minutes.
Yeah, you got someone's got to be cut here now. Like, he's a Liverpool fan, he's fucking done.
Ring them all up for 5 minutes to see who lasts the longest and cut them off.
Yeah, exactly. So we're kind of starting looking at wedding venues around Cork because I live up the north. I said to her, like, can we get married in Cork? Because I'm going to be up there.
Yeah.
Can you at least give me
Cork?
Like,
can you give me that, like?
You know, so she's like, okay. So we've been Googling places there, and we were out this morning doing a few bits and bobs looking into it. Like, so we get married next year in about a year and a half, about the end of next year maybe.
After hopefully. All the tour and maybe a few documentaries and.
You never know, like, crisis at Cork City, Andrew Ryan investigates. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just outside Turner's Cross and there's like bailiffs outside and the whole thing is gated up, like, you know what I mean? It's like Cork City fans are going, where is the money gone? You know what I mean? Like, it's just you guys running around the fucking pitch naked, like, you know. So, but listen, it's great that Dermot was up for this. You know what I mean? Like, it was really good. So listen, and I always say to fans out there and football people who sometimes be like, oh, don't know what to expect and stuff. Why would you not want it to be great?
Yeah,
because it's going into the club. So let's do it. Let's have a bit of crack.
And it's going to help kids like your nephew.
And look, I say to my nephew all the time, like I said, you work hard, you do the best you can do, and you enjoy it. That's the most important thing. And if you don't enjoy it, that's fine too. But he loves it, and I love going. I'm going to see him now play, and this weekend. And I'm one of these. I'll sit back and I'll say nothing. Like I don't shout at. I don't get involved overly. Like.
You're not one of those abusive parents.
Oh, Jesus Christ. They're living their lives through their own kids. Like.
Some of them are.
They're living their own mistakes through their own kids. Like, take a day off and let your kid do his or her thing. Like, don't be standing there going, defense. I'm like, they're in nappies, man. They're not even, this is the fucking crash. Like, what are you shouting at them for? Like, you know? I've no kids, so, like, I can't, I've no skin in the game, like.
At some point, you never know.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we can't wait till the gig.
And to all the people listening to this, please do pop along. It's a great night. Get your tickets. Tickets are available. Sold quite a few already. We're hoping to sell it out, and a great lineup. And if you're a Cork City fan, come and support the club.
Yeah, and we definitely must get some of the players positioned down the front, maybe.
Absolutely.
No, well, what I'll do is I won't do that because footballers have egos, like.
Yeah,
they have egos, like.
I'm sure you've dealt with a few of them over the years.
Jesus Christ! Oh man, I've met a few now, very luckily through my job and stuff, and.
Did anyone ever turn on you over you kind of having a laugh off and like that? That they didn't take too kindly to it? Because I see Gary Lineker on Match of Day the other night, and he kind of made a comment on Frank Lampard, and it didn't go down too well.
Yeah, I did make a comment to Jamie Carragher, all right, but he took it well. I was doing a fundraising night and Jamie was the guest, and I was interviewing him for an hour. And he was brilliant. Like, I'd say he was one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. But I thought, he came in and we started, and he had just done the overlap with Roy Keane and Gary Neville where they came to Cork. Do you remember that one? Yeah. And I said to him, like, oh, you were down at Cove Lambers, and I was talking to him beforehand in like the green. I said, oh, I used to do a bit of fundraising for them and all that. And he was like, oh yeah, Cork is great, mate. It's a great place and all this kind of stuff. And he got onto the stage, and he kind of said something, and I said something back, and it was really funny. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why I said it, like. And I just went, it was Jamie Carragher, ladies. It was great that he's turned up tonight, isn't it? Got a massive applause. Didn't turn up for the last World Cup he played in, though. And the whole place laughed, and I looked at him, and he just went, "Good." Like he told, but when you have that 2 second, like, how is that going to go down?
Yeah.
And I kind of like looked at him. I was like, "Are we okay?" But I think it only went down quite well was because I had that 5 minutes before with him.
Yeah.
And we had a right good laugh, and I must admit, very lucky to have worked with Gary Neville. It was really good. I've never met Roy Keane now. He's on my list to meet as a human being to meet for one in my whole life, I'm a massive Roy Keane fan and Man United fan, obviously, and he's box office to me, and I know he's Marmite for some people, but I tell you something, he can.
But that Cork humour comes out in him. Like, do you know the way they all laugh about his little one-liners? That there's a lot of that in Cork in general, isn't there?
Cork people are insanely funny, man. They are, like, and I remember I whenever I'm doing gigs. Would you believe it? I was interviewing a musician called Five Ants. Do you know Five Ants at all?
Oh yes, yeah.
Five Ants is a wonderful musician from the north. He's from Bangor in County Down. I was interviewing him, and I just said, like, Foy, you're very welcome to the radio show. Thanks for coming in. My name's Andrew. I'm one of the hosts. He was like, great. So we'll be starting there now in a minute. And I go, so it's good to see you, man. I was listening to you. I was down in Cork. He went, you're from Cork, of course you are. Because why is it? Because when you meet a Cork person, they always tell you they're from fucking Cork within the first 2 sentences. And I went, yeah, I do, yeah. And it's true.
It is true.
Like, it is true. We are very unique people here. And so I love it though. I think it's brilliant.
We usually finish up the podcast with asking 1 or 2 questions. And I just want to take you back to Cork City because you're talking about going to the cross when you were younger. I suppose, who was the player that you liked the most?
I love Patsy Frayne.
Is it?
I loved him. Because he looked like every game was a struggle. He looked like he was sponsored by Benson and Hedges.
Yeah.
Do you know? He was great in midfield, man.
He had a classy touch as well.
He was brilliant.
Yeah.
I loved him. John Caulfield was brilliant.
Brilliant forward.
When he was playing. Damien Delaney, I remember watching Damien Delaney for Cork City, and then about 3 months later I saw him get sent off against Leicester City, against Arsenal. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
When Peter Taylor brought him over?
Yeah, it was mad. He went from Turner's Cross to the Premier League straight away. Like, yeah.
Like, it was just insane. And I know it sounds really silly, but I'm actually quite proud of him.
Yeah.
I remember that day, he was playing for Leicester, playing Arsenal, and there was a big fight, and one of the Arsenal players got sent off. And I remember going, I was watching you against fucking Dundalk there about 3 months ago. What's going on there? Like,
there is something about that.
You feel very proud, like.
Yeah. When one of your own ends up, it doesn't matter who they play for. You kind of support them.
Yeah. And like, you look at your man at the moment, Jake O'Brien. Unbelievable to come on for Ireland there. Obviously over in Leon. I follow him on Instagram. I follow his girlfriend as well. I don't know why I'm all in. I'm I'm invested. I'm like one of those. I'm like, I need to know now what she's doing as well. Do you know what I mean? I need to know what she's doing as well. Like, but like, you look at that and you look at Heffernan up in Newcastle. Carl Heffernan up in Newcastle. He was at AC Milan, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you just think to yourself, this is brilliant. But why is that happening? I'll tell you why I believe it's happening. People are investing in young people.
Yeah.
And they're giving them the facilities to develop, and they're giving them the academies to develop, and the coaching and everything that goes with it. And I think that's very exciting for Cork. You know, there's some phenomenal soccer players that have come out of here, like. So, you know, let's keep doing it, because even though I don't live in Cork, like, I'm on the Echo, I'm on all the websites.
Yeah,
you know, I listen to 96 FM, I listen to Red FM. I have it all on my Alexa. You might think not you know, out of sight, out of mind. No, like, I'm listening to Prendeville. Like, it was terrible what happened with the gates in the farm last week. People are ringing up Prendeville. Like, I feel like, do you know what I mean? The parking wardens, Neil. The parking wardens.
That was the ultimate threat, wasn't it? If you did something wrong, like, Neil was getting the call.
Neil, like. I'm ringing. It used to be Jeremy Kyle. Now it's Prendeville.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm ringing Neil. I remember Neil Prendeville used to have this counsellor on all the time. His favourite word was consultation. Neil, you need to have some consultation with the residents. Neil, consultation. I'd love to get on his show, actually, Prendeville.
I'm surprised he hasn't had a job.
He hasn't. He won't take me. Too much for risk, I'd say. I'd walk in, I'd fucking fight you back. I'm sure he's a lovely man. I've never met him. I'm sure
Maybe
he's a lovely man.
he heard you giving abuse to him in the cross, in the shed back in the day, because he used to get awful abuse, because he'd be talking. Yeah, in the 90s in particular. Yeah, because there was a couple of things with City fans or whatever, and then he'd talk about it on the radio. And of course, the shed.
But sure, like, that's football is.
It's always like that.
Like, you know, it's very tribal, you know.
It is tribal.
Fans have a drink in them to think they're fucking Del Piero, like, you know. Like.
And then, what was the game that stands out in your mind? Like, what was the one game that you would say, oh, I'd love to relive that from Turner's Cross?
There was a game there against Waterford. I'll be honest with you, we were second in the league, or top of the league, and we drew at home to Waterford. I think it was 0-0. And if we'd have won that game, we'd have won the league, because we won the other. I think, Jesus, it could have been. I'm talking late 90s now. You remind. 90s, I don't know who was it now. Was it Waterford? No, we drew at Waterford. Oh, could have been.
We're up against Shelbourne, I think, at the time. Was it to win the league or something?
Shelbourne,
like that,
I think, won the league. And I remember it was nil. It was crowds, we'd a massive, brilliant season.
Yeah.
And it was 0-0 against Waterford. And I remember being in the shed with 10 minutes to go, going, "This cost us. This is going to cost us."
Yeah.
And Kabia, Cough, they were the fucking dog, and everyone, man and his dog, was just roaring abuse to them. Like, Mooney was in goal, I think.
Yeah.
Even he moved. Like, he was even going up to the halfway line. I was we need to do something, and then that was it. Cost us the league. But the way it played out at the end of the season, there's only 2 games left. It was that draw that cost us. Sticks in my mind, yeah, because I never saw Cork City when I went. I never saw them win the league. You see.
Yeah, even when they won it the first time, you know, up Dublin, I think.
Yeah, I saw Cove Ramblers beat Dundalk in the League Cup semi-final. That was a great night. But I'd go to any game. Like, my cousins all played for Dundalk, like in Shamrock Rovers and stuff. Another cousin of mine was played for Blackburn Rovers, won the Premier League with Blackburn Rovers. Started in the 90s, Christopher Malone.
Oh, yeah.
So he's in the actual squad. You see the picture, like, Blackburn Rovers, he's top right. He used to clean Alan Shearer and Graham Lassau's boots. You know, so, you know, if all, you know, so like. Just
get out, follow your local team and get behind it.
Yeah, like I've been to like a few, you know, it's hard. Like I have the app, you know, and I've got all the gives. Cove, like Cork City aren't playing out till about the 28th of June. Yeah, I check it all the time. I check Cove results as well. Like, it's not that I'm like, oh, you have to be City, you can't be. I like the League of Ireland. Like, do you know I won the Europa League with Cove Ramblers and Championship Manager? Do you know that? I won the league. I won the Europa League with Cove Ramblers and Championship Manager.
Achievement. Who did you sign?
The year 2085. Took a while. Took a while.
Play current players, grandkids and everything in the squad.
Honest to God, like.
And the funny one there is I was reading yesterday that there was a girl came over all the way from the States or something. She played with Treaty United on Football Manager. And she then was at a wedding in Kinsale, saw that Treaty were playing Cork City in Turner's Cross and went to the match.
There you go now.
She said they're my team.
Yeah.
Fucking mad.
But that's what football and sport does to people, you know. Drives them mad. Drives them absolutely like it's mad. Like, you know, last week, you know, all the people in the Irish athletics over in the European Championships. It's amazing the amount of people I didn't realise were experts in fucking athletics. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean?
Every week's time it'll be rowing and boxing.
Let's be fucking rowing and boxing, and then, you know, all that Cork beat Limerick in their hurling. We're back. We're not.
Yeah.
We're not. Limerick are like the fucking Saudi Arabia of hurling, like, you know, the oil magnate, you know, the way like JP's pumping that money in. It's like the Man City of hurling, like they're getting pumped by the fucking Arabs, like. Do you know what Cork needs now is we need good money, like we need a good investment, you know.
Yeah.
Some American company come over and invest in us.
Dorman needs help there with a few bob.
Yeah.
Well, we'll start it with the comedy night and we'll see where it goes from there.
But yeah, listen, come along to the night. It'd be great crack, like.
Thanks a million for coming in, Andrew.
Oh, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Could talk to him all day. He's a character.
Class. So good.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that.
He's brilliant. And I think he'll just, like, it'll be so funny if he starts having a go off of some of the people involved in the club just messing, you know.
It'll be brilliant.
On the night, like, even
I've seen him. I don't know if he comes up on my TikTok all the time, as do pretty much everyone else in the lineup. Yeah, it's so funny, and I'm already looking forward to who becomes the target. Hopefully not me. Probably will be me. Will it? I don't know.
Could be. How
we'll
see.
see.
We never mentioned that there. No, I'll have to tip him off.
I know. Yeah. Hopefully he'll go into that now, and he has no idea of the whole how we out thing. But yeah, I can't wait for it. That's going to be hilarious.
But as he said, like, he'll do 15 minutes and then there'll be like 20 minutes for each of the others. Like, that's going to be a fantastic gig. Like, 2 in the first half, 2 in the second half, and him as well supporting each one of them. You know?
And as he said, like, they're all giving up time and coming from all over Ireland and the UK to come be a part of this for just 20 minutes each. Like, that's incredible. Like, he mentioned Shane Todd has opened for Kevin Hart. He was in the marquee last week opening for Theo Vaughan.
Yeah.
Like, Shane Todd's hilarious.
I'm sure Chris Kent is from Cork. Like, he's brilliant.
The best thing, actually, the whole Corkisms is Andrew's talking about there. You know, when he was talking to Five Ants, and straight away he was like, Cork people always mention it. They're from. We absolutely do. I murder for it.
Yeah,
it's either that or else you're wearing a Cork City jersey or a Cork GAA jersey somewhere, just showing off your Corkness for everyone to see. But that's the best thing about us, really.
No, like, and do you know, sometimes the rest of the country kind of hate us for it, and actually we love the fact that they kind of hate us for it as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, there's something about that, to be honest. But yeah, but then when we're overseas, I think then they fall in love with us again. So like Roy Keane, Killian Murphy, those, you know, they love them then because they know they're from Cork, but they're like, they adopt them then. Oh no, they're Irish as well. Like, you know, it's
exactly. I should look at, like, I know Andrew was talking about Roy Keane there, but we all know it. We all see it. He's worshipped in the UK.
Yeah.
He is absolutely worshipped.
He's having some crack at the Euros. I don't know if you saw
I've seen a few clips.
And Stephanie and Wright, they're the ultimate bromance. They're like doing go-karts and stuff in Berlin or something.
I saw one, they were in a shopping centre and someone asked Ian Wright for a picture and Roy Keane was hiding behind a pillar around the corner because he didn't want to be a part of it. But he's brilliant.
No, it's fantastic. But so that gig is going to be brilliant. And as I said there to Andrew, like, you know, €35. I mean, some of these people, like, if they play in arenas, the tickets are going to be expensive.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, €35 for the lineup we have, and where the money is going.
And as he said, they're like you're supporting people like his nephew Louis, who plays in the under 14s. Like, look at all the kids that are in our academy and the ones that are to come, because there's going to be a new batch start.
It's this generation and the next generation. It's all being supported, and like Andrew mentioned again, the work being done by Liam Carney and everyone in the academy, like, it's absolute Trojan work they're doing. And
we're seeing the benefits at the moment. We see Cahill, Jaden, Aaron, you know, not to mention then Jake O'Brien, Mark O'Mahony, Franco.
Yeah, players that are here, players that have moved on. Like, it's
you know, like, it's.
We always talk about the conveyor belt. The conveyor belt is there and it's fully operational. And this is the perfect way of supporting it at the early stages.
Providing not just
fun for the fans, enjoyment for the fans, success for the fans, also providing careers for people.
Yeah.
You know, because those kids will end up, you know, professional footballers.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
so it's
Absolutely. And
brilliant.
look, that benefits us as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's
As a club and a football team, that we've got these players that are coming through our academy and doing things the Cork City way and then going on to represent Cork City. It's brilliant.
no. Speaking of fundraisers, there's another golf classic coming up as well. Did I see that?
So the next one is on the 1st of July. That's a Monday, and it's in Cork Golf Club. €750 per team of 4, which is good value.
Yeah.
So contact Anthony or Matthew there to book that in.
Cork Golf Club is quite prestigious as well. I could be wrong this now, but I think it's the same person who designed St Andrews back in the day.
Really?
Yeah, so like that's it's one of the oldest golf courses. Like so.
Yeah, I wouldn't be much of a golf man now, but I've seen pictures of the place and it looks class.
lovely.
It looks
Yeah.
class. But Anthony at corkcityfc.ie if you want to book in there.
Yeah, and then all goes to the club again, like, you know, supporting our youth teams, you know, and obviously the women's team as well.
Of course, yeah.
You know,
absolutely, yeah.
You know, we got good feedback actually from Colleen's interview
Brilliant,
as well last week.
Really good reaction to it on Twitter, especially.
Yeah.
Which is brilliant. Look, the main thing for me, and I think for everyone that listens to it, is like the ringing endorsement of Danny and the girls and the environment. Like, it's, I suppose if I'm another player in the league listening to that, I nearly want to go play for Cork City. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's, look at everyone at the club. We would talk about the academy all the time, but the women's side in particular, the work that's being done there, the atmosphere they've built and created and maintained through ups and downs, it's absolutely brilliant.
That's
and it's
brilliant.
a really exciting place to be and an exciting thing to be a part of. And to have Colleen, I know we spoke about it last week, but like, they weren't staying in Cork. Herself and the husband were not staying in Cork.
No.
She went to one training session. She's like, yeah, absolutely, I'm staying.
Here we go.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Her whole college team actually shared a post that I tagged them in it or whatever.
Oh, really?
But yeah, they shared it. So I'd say they're proud of where she's ended up as well. You know, they don't all end up in the women's league in the US. You know,
Yeah.
some of them
She
end
gets
up
to live
over
in
here.
Cork instead, which is way better.
Yeah, as we said,
Way better.
especially people from Cork, we think it's the best.
We
So,
know it's the best. Absolutely, we do.
speaking of the best, we're back at the Cross Friday night.
We are Bray Wanderers. Been a while. Feels like we were in the Cross every Friday. It feels like we haven't been there for ages.
You know, and it's only actually a gap of 2 weeks. Like,
Yeah,
but,
it's literally one Friday off. Like, but
Yeah.
yeah, we're back. Bray Wanderers. It's the third meeting between us and Bray this year. We won the 2 previous ones, so we'll be looking to keep that going. And
hopefully the lads be refreshed. Probably looking very tanned.
yeah, enjoyed the holidays. Hopefully the sunburn has gone down by then, because inevitably there's always one or two
Yeah.
come back bright pink. But yeah, hopefully now we can maybe even extend the lead a little bit further. We're 11 clear at the minute, so it'd be nice to keep that going.
Yeah, and hopefully there'll be a decent crowd. I know we are competing. I don't know what game is on the Euros on Friday night, but people like to get out to real football as well. Live football is brilliant, you know.
Yeah, look, the Euros, having the European Championships or a World Cup or anything to watch is great, but like,
Can't
I'd
beat
rather
the
be at the Cross on a Friday night to
at
watch.
the Cross, and especially, you know, the weather's great at the moment. Hopefully it continues. You know, at least we have a bit of heat and a bit of sun, and I think it is supposed to be good for the whole week. So let's hope
We'll see.
it's a nice sunny.
Wouldn't be
evening.
like us to jinx something anyway. So if
Yeah,
it ends up
yeah.
raining on Friday and
Might be
Saturday,
nice
you can blame us.
evening for the old beer garden and inside and
The corner
Corner
flag.
flag,
Well, look,
yeah.
do you know what? It's selling. I don't even know if there's going to be many tickets left by the
See.
time this comes around, but
yeah. But you see, the minute the sun comes out, everyone wants to sit outside.
that's it, yeah. Especially when there's been a week off as well, people miss it.
Yeah, the women
But,
are away, are they?
Yeah, back on the road on Saturday, so Wexford away, 6 p.m. kickoff.
It's been a few weeks since they've had a match as well.
Been a few weeks and it's on and on. We spoke about it before. It's very stop-start and there's a lot of travel involved, but we're back now. And Wexford, we were down there earlier in the season. We drew it. It was a All-Ireland Cup game. It was a 2-2 draw, I think it was. Colleen and Doro scored. Could have won it as well, so that'll be a really interesting game.
Fingers crossed to get back to winning ways. But yeah, so no, football is back. Loads of events. There's lots to look forward to. And there's also maybe some merchandise to look forward to. Am I right in saying?
We may or may not have had some samples of
Yeah.
the new Rebel Army stuff, Rebel Army clothing, in last week. Very, very, very excited
Well, that's good.
for the whole range. No, not just jerseys, the whole training wear, leisure wear. Very, very exciting times. And
Well-
I'm very critical of merchandise a lot, and you know, making sure things are nice, or the color scheme is nice, or the
Be a
quality is
merchandise
good.
snob.
Yeah, I actually am.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were very happy with it.
So look, people love buying stuff like that. Like they love getting new kind of gear and stuff like that. So I'm sure they're gonna look forward to it. Who knows? We might have it in time for the live show or something.
Maybe might get an exclusive look at something. Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll ask Dermot.
We'll do an old fashioned show in the evening or something.
Can I wear the new jersey on the podcast? Probably not. Probably a bit early. Sure, look. We'll try.
Put your phones away. You know, they always tell you put your phones away in the opera.
Yeah, we'll take people's phones. That's what we'll do. Yeah.
And then no one can release the pictures because I think every club's jersey always gets leaked beforehand. I don't know how.
Yeah, ours didn't leak last. Oh, it did leak. Yeah, there was someone had a mock-up of it. Don't know where that came from, but
I'm convinced there's people in the factories that make them, you know, to get out their phones and sending it.
I think the place is bugged. Do you know what? Have you noticed? I don't know if you've noticed this. I've noticed this, and others have noticed it over the last couple of weeks. Ourselves, so I do our match day graphics, and Paul Mladd does the Galway ones. We both did a Star Wars one on the same day. We both did a Portal one on the same day. We both did a Euro 2024 one the other day. So someone has someone's computer bugged there, and we're listening to each other.
John Caulfield left something inside in the office.
That's what it was. Yeah, we blame Caulfield.
Or else John Caulfield's on the phone to someone in the office down there. He's still getting the feedback.
He has a mole. He has a mole in the club.
Mole. It's like, you know, these like
nothing to do
shows.
with the football side of things.
No, it's just
all about the social media.
The commercial, the social.
That's it.
Yeah. You know. Yeah. Look, I'm looking forward to going back to the Cross anyway Friday night, and we'll be back next week with another pod, and who knows, in the next couple of weeks we might have some ideas of letting you know who the guests are coming up on the
we'll
show.
see. We'll make a call on when we want to announce things. You don't want to announce things too far in advance.
No, because we still have about 10 weeks to go.
Yeah, but it'd be nice to start building the anticipation for it and getting people in the mood for it. But yeah, another one done. As always, we always mention it. Make sure you're following us on Spotify.
And make sure to give Andrew, if you don't follow him, make sure to give Andrew a follow as well, because, you know, he's a great guy, funny guy, so give him a follow.
Give him a follow, have a look at some of his clips on Instagram Reels and TikTok, and prepare yourself.
Give yourself a laugh.
And don't sit too close to the front where he can see you.
Yeah.
Because you will be getting it.
So it'll end up being us getting it, no, because you said on the podcast with the lads.
100% it's going to be us.
Definitely.
I'm sick that night. I don't think I'm going.
We should have asked him for some tips on the opera house, actually. But anyway. Look, we'll be back next week.
Talk to you next week.